Anne McIntosh, first of all, why were you deselected?
Well, I think I should explain that I'm obviously disappointed at the outcome of the ballot, which does seem to be a result of some ungentlemanly behaviour which has brought great discredit to the Conservative Party. And I'm delighted this is now going to be looked into, so I don't wish to comment further at this stage.
Who's looking, when you say it's being looked into?
By the highest ranks of the Conservative Party.
Right, so is this about a fallout between you and a personality in your constituency?
Well, so it would appear. I think, can I make a general comment about the role of why I believe that it's so important to have Conservative associations? The association exists under the Conservative Constitution to elect councillors, MPs and MEPs, and after the election, obviously, to support them in their quest. My association actually is a very new one. The seat was only reconstituted on a boundary change in 2010. And I was actually told in 2009 by the preferred candidate, who has now, I think it's become public knowledge, who the preferred candidate is, basically what was going to happen, and that has now happened.
But the whole party voted you out, though, didn't they? It wasn't just a case of one or two people here.
Well, it was, I think, if you look at the democracy of it, I was elected out of a constituency of 77,000 electors.
Yes.
I obtained, on a low poll, because we had the run-on...
but within the association?
28,000. Well, I don't want to preempt the results of an inquiry. I already had a favourable... I don't want to draw too many parallels, but we had a very favourable inquiry in June last year, supported by the board of the party in July. If the results of that inquiry had become perhaps more public knowledge, then I think we might have seen a different run of the ballot. But I still remain, I have had no personal disagreement with the overwhelming majority of the members of my association and the wider public, and I've had huge messages of support from them.
So, in your view, why has McIntosh been deselected? Is this are associations flexing their muscles?
I don't know about the specific case because I'm not up in Yorkshire, but I do think we can see a general trend that's affecting associations, which is more and more MPs are becoming and are being treated as constituency workers. And there's also a general fall in their status, which has happened since the expenses scandal. So constituents are getting more exacting. Now, without making any comment on Thirsk and Moulton, I think that is feeding through generally into the body politic. But as I say, I don't know what happened up there, and I couldn't possibly comment, therefore.
Right. I mean, Tim Yeo said it was about policy issues. He was pretty candid that it was about his liberal stance, if you like, on climate change, on gay marriage and on Europe. Now,
if that's the case, why wasn't Crispin Blunt, who was up in front of a reselection ballot in Reigate, where his sexuality was said to be the issue, why wasn't he deselected? And, you know, the fact is that he wasn't. I think that with these cases, and, you know, Anne will come in a minute, the Member of Parliament and the association, it's a bit like a marriage, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it breaks down, and it's really very hard to generalise.
Was it about policy in your case at all?
I was told, obviously I can't speak for Tim, what Tim was told, but I was told immediately after the ballot, which was a great surprise to everybody, not least to myself and supporters.
Because you thought you would actually come through?
I think the party expected me to go through, and obviously that's something that, as I say, the ungentlemanly behaviour, I think, is something that the party would wish to look into, which has promised to do. But I think it's a case of I've been told that I'm still on the candidates list. I can apply for any seat, including Thirsk and Moulton. And I think one way forward would be to have an open primary and let the residents of Thirsk and Moulton decide who they would like to go forward in this case. I think the important thing to hold sight of, it is not for the association to dictate who the Member of Parliament should meet. It is for the Member of Parliament to be elected without fear or favour and to be the servant of the constituency and country and the association.
Right. But on that basis, Julia Neuberger, isn't it right that associations or local parties of any MP If they don't think their MP's working hard enough, I'm not saying that this is what's happened in any of these cases, but MP's not working hard enough, they're not reflecting the views they feel of the association, that they should be deselected.
Clearly, there is a right, presumably, for associations. I absolutely don't want to speak about the specifics. I don't know enough about the specifics to say anything. There must be the possibility for associations or, constituency members, if you like, of a particular party to say, actually, we don't want you to carry on. But it is, I think, actually, Paul's right, it's a bit like a marriage. Actually, it's very reminiscent of the relationship between synagogues, congregations, and their rabbis, or churches and their priests, or whatever. There's something about the chemistry of the relationship very often. So I do think, ultimately, they ought to be able to decide, but I think it has to be fairly and due process, and I think all of that needs testing out.
But do you think it's changed, Anne McIntosh? That's relation. I mean, you hinted at that, or you said it in terms of post-expenses, but is it also about some Tory MPs being out of touch or not in line with their Tory activist mates, that there has been a divergence
Well,
here?
I think two points. I think we fell into disrepute over the expenses issue, and there's sort of a no-no on outside interests. I'm in a very privileged position being the chairman of a committee that actually relates very closely to local interests. But yes, if you get a policy on a free vote, which in fact on same-sex marriage, I came to my policy decision on my own bat. But if I'd voted any other way, I think I would have had even greater problems in the constituency.
What are you going to do?
I'm not going to give a running commentary. I'm going to let the machinations of the party take.
But you'd like to
its
stand
course.
again in 2015
I'm
for the
keeping
Conservatives?
an open mind, and if I felt I had done anything wrong, and I think there is a question of my standing in the community, that allegations have been made about me that I've not been able to refute, and I take a very long-term view on that.